The second generation Audi Q5 was first seen at the Paris Motor Show after design sketches had laid the foundation for what the car would become. The rounder styling of the previous generation was lost in favour of a more angular style, and the model code FY was a step forward to a sharper design language across the brand. The Q5 was later built in a sportback variant, which shares almost all of its attributes with the regular model, and sales favoured the larger luggage of the full-size Q5. The Audi plant in Mexico built the majority of the world market cars, however factories in India and China were also selected, mainly to supply the Asian market that were growing demand for SUVs. The demand resulted in Audi introducing a Q5L model that extended the wheelbase by 88mm or 3.5 inches. I should note several critical dates of the Q5. First is the release, which for Europe was 2017, after production started in late 2016. Interestingly, the USA got the car as a 2018 year model, with most deliveries arriving from 2018, despite the car being made from just south of the border, which usually results in America getting earlier deliveries from Japanese and European manufacturers than when the cars are built in their domestic markets. In Asia, several countries in the southeast were receiving the Q5 model for the first time and got deliveries in 2019, while those down under and in South Africa should find their first deliveries were in 2018, but a larger supply starts in 2019. India waited until the facelift model to arrive for the first deliveries. The SQ5 model in this generation makes a return, but the engines you get will depend on where you live and what year you buy. Similar to the previous generation, this is due to a diesel engine, but curiously, 2017 to 2020 models appear to all have 3-litre TFSI engines no matter where you live. However, the facelift SQ5 goes back to a 3-litre V6 diesel in Europe in 2020, just before the facelift in 2021. If you search hard enough, you can find a few petrol models registered in 2021, but they were old stock as the diesel began production in 2020. Most world markets and North America retain the 3-litre TFSI, and I'll cover both in the engine section later in the guide. Now I should note that most European markets, along with some other world markets, you get the 2-litre TDI engine. In the USA and several other countries, the 2-litre TDI is taken away entirely. Instead, you'll just have a 2-litre turbo petrol and then the 3-litre SQ5. And a quick note for any Mexicans watching, the Audi plant that was constructed there in 2016 built its 1 millionth car in 2023, which was a Viper Green Audi Q5. So big congrats to anyone that was involved in that project. Thought I'd let you know because I think that is quite an achievement, especially in such a short span of time to get 1 million vehicles out the door. The facelift arrives in 2021 and gets a sportback version added, but due to the delivery times and part supply, a few markets waited until early 2022 to see the car arrive. In China, the Q5 long wheelbase sportback was also sold. Luggage space on the Q5 does have several quotes, but between 510 to 520 litres in the regular SUV and then 455 to 470 litres in the sportback will only vary depending on which engine and specification you choose. That's roughly 18 cubic feet in the SUV and 16 cubic feet in the sportback. Moving on to safety, and the Q5 scored a full 5 stars at Euro NCAP in 2017. This rating has now expired, while North American IIHS awarded the car a Top Safety Pick Plus in 2022. Next up are the common faults, and a reminder to add a like if you're enjoying the video and consider subscribing or become a channel member to support future videos. Infotainment glitches including freezing screens and sensors not communicating will lead to faults showing on the screen. The automatic switch on the driver's front door has reports of malfunctions requiring replacement parts. Most specialists have seen this issue and will know the common areas to check. Sometimes a module reset can be the cheap answer. Dealer service was reported and appears to be a hit and miss, so it's worth seeing what your local dealer is like before buying. A friend of mine is actually experiencing this at the moment. Sometimes the boot will be closed, but the latch mechanism will not signal, leaving a warning that the boot is open even though it has been closed. Several owners reported problems with the stop-start not functioning correctly for pre-facelift models. If you test drive a model that has a lazy throttle response, then the car may have had a cheap repair to make it appear as if it's working, but it is a hack to work around the real problem. Although I'll come on to engines later, thermostat failure is coming up as the root cause of larger issues for the Q5 when there are reports of oil or coolant issues. For this reason, ask an owner if it's the original unit. Several owners spent a lot of money chasing other, more obvious components for issues, only to find it was the thermostat or thermostat housing issue that was the root cause. If buying a high mileage with an automatic gearbox, then ask an owner if the car has ever had the gearbox or fluid replaced. If there is a noticeable hesitation from the gearbox or slight slip between gears, then the first thing to check is the age of the fluid, or jump straight to flushing and replacing. Some owners reported early facelift cars needing at least one replacement engine mount before 50,000 miles or 80,000 kilometers, a surprise although it does appear isolated to 2020 and 2021 built cars. Overall, most Q5 owners have been happy with their purchase, and several have bought two in this generation and not had a single issue, so while I go looking for faults so you know what to look for, overall the car does appear to be scoring well with owners. Next up are the recalls. In 2018 there were two recalls, one for airbags not functioning on cars with optional head-up display due to a defective weld joint, the second due to rear brakes receiving the incorrect coating at factory during March and April of 2018. In 2019 there were four recalls, the first for brake cylinder defects under campaign 4709, the second, third and fourth recall were all due to wheel arch coverings detaching on 2017 to 2019 build cars, and a wider and wider recall of cars being announced. A single recall was made in 2020 for the adjuster for the backrest, which could fail due to an incorrect weld at factory on June and July 2020 built cars. In 2021 there was a single recall for wheel bolts on the rear axle that were manufactured outside of tolerance, and then in 2022 there were the last two recalls, one applied for cars previously recalled for the rear axle bolt, as some left dealers with misaligned suspension, the second for the data control management unit on models built from 2016 to 2021. Now onto the engines, and a reminder that there are over 150 guides on the channel from a wide range of manufacturers to check out after this one, including a recent Volvo XC60 and BMW X3 guides. First up, the 2-litre diesel engine, and if purchased on pre-facelift cars, it will be badged 2-litre TDI with either 163 or 188 brake horsepower with an average of 56.5 miles per gallon or 5 litres per 100 kilometers on the older and less accurate NEDC test cycle. On facelift models this becomes a mild hybrid engine and rated at 201 brake horsepower with economy averaged at 43.5 miles per gallon or 6.49 litres per 100 kilometers on the newer WLTP test cycle. Owners of facelift models report being able to beat this MPG on a long run. While several owners have run these engines to high mileage, the most common complaints for faults are usually the dual mass flywheel needing replacing at a high cost after 100,000 miles or 160,000 kilometers. Then the emissions equipment like the EGR and the DPF, both requiring owners to visit a specialist to get a resolution, as the car would continue to warn of a fault if these were not resolved. Some owners have either faced an injector issue or turbo problems, however as far as I could see, on the Q5 these were a small minority who were understandably vocal about their problem because it was a high repair cost to resolve. A cylinder head failure did come up several times in my research, although I will stress that I was looking specifically at the engine across the Audi range and not the Q5, where this issue did not get reported very often. A number of owners said that their cars were worse after a dealer update after the emissions scandal, however a second or third update did resolve the problem, and the majority that reported this had an early 2017 or 2018 car. To balance all this, I found several owners running their cars well past 100,000 miles without an issue aside from servicing and slightly costlier than expected set of new brakes. Moving on to the 2-litre gasoline engine, and again it's ubiquitous across the range with the EA888 architecture. In the Q5 it comes with 252 brake horsepower on pre-facelift cars, the 262 and 249 brake horsepower in facelift with a mild hybrid system. Note that your region may change this figure slightly. Early models badge this as a 2-litre T and facelifts as the 45 TFSI. Then there is the plug-in hybrid variant of this engine, which it is badged as a 50 TFSI on the later pre-facelift cars with a combined 295 brake horsepower, which continues onto the facelift models but also gets a 55 TFSI with a combined 367 brake horsepower. Fuel economy of the regular 2-litre turbo is 32.8 miles per gallon or 8.5 litres per 100 kilometers. The hybrid system adds either 27 or 34 miles or 43 to 54 kilometers depending on whether it's 50 or 55 model. This engine can face oil and coolant mixing, and a friend's car is currently at Audi waiting for a repair after they claimed he had poured oil in his own coolant tank. Being an ex-Volvo technician, he politely advised that he knew the difference between an oil and coolant filler cap and that he hadn't needed to add oil to his partner's 10-month-old Audi. It hadn't even reached its first service yet. If you face this issue, there will likely be an offer to replace the coolant expansion tank and flush the coolant. The problem is more likely to be the oil cooler though, as after having the former repair done, 300 miles later, his car was at Audi with the same issue. They have since decided maybe the oil cooler is to blame after all. Now this issue is rare, but it makes it worthwhile opening the coolant expansion tank for any potential purchase and dip testing for any signs of oil, Just remember to never do so on an engine that has been run, only open a coolant expansion tank when the car is cold, you risk serious burns otherwise. Looking through reports, there were owners that had suffered catastrophic engine failure and timing issues, although I was looking for worst case scenarios. It's a dilemma because overall, across the VW group, this 2-litre engine does perform well, and in the Q5 many owners are yet to face anything but a servicing bill. So I'd go for a test drive, and if anything doesn't feel right or looks right, then move on to another. You will certainly find lots of good ones, and there are plenty to choose from. The 3-litre TFSI in the early SQ5 across the world, and later SQ5 in select markets, makes 349 brake horsepower with an officially rated 34 miles per gallon or 8.3 litres per 100 kilometres, although this was done on the older NEDC test cycle. Overall, owners find that the SQ5 has been reliable, however the rocker arms on 2017 and 2018 cars were reported to fail on some cars. There have been multiple tuning companies that have pushed more power from the engines, but here there is mixed opinions. Standard ones don't appear to report any major mechanical faults as miles increase, but some tuned cars, and I will stress not all, have reported cylinder 6 failures. The engine code is E8839, and familiar with several S-model Audis if you'd like to look into this further. Overall though, well-serviced examples appear to have not only a community supporting them, but so far have continued without a problem. Then there is the 3-litre TDI. In some countries this was offered before it goes back into the SQ5 as a 3-litre TDI or 45 and 50 TDI, where it carries into the 2020 model onwards. Power is rated at 231 and 282 brake horsepower, whereas the SQ5 TDI pushes this to 341 brake horsepower. Fuel economy of 34.4 miles per gallon or 8.2 litres per 100 kilometres is quoted, again with owners beating this figure, achieved under the newer WLTP test standard. I'll split the SQ5 off for a second and advise it's not the same engine with different engine management. A vast array of engine parts are upgraded, including a change to the pistons themselves, so don't let anyone tell you that a 3-litre TDI can become an SQ5 engine with just a remap. So far it appears the emissions equipment clogging and needing forced regeneration is the only common thread of complaint, although these are quite new and only just coming out of warranty with the diesel engine. Although I'll note relatively slow sales of the TDI SQ5, likely as buyers were confused as the car was a diesel in Gen 1, then petrol powered from 2017 to 2020, and then back to diesel again. The regular 3-litre TDI model has been around for longer than the SQ5, but again is less popular than the 2-litre TDI, but a few high mileage drivers have said that their complaints were limited to the coffee machine running out at the local dealer when they were in for servicing. Not bad. On to our picks, and it's a tough one. On a budget, the 2-litre turbo petrol could be a great choice if you look around and get a good one, while the diesel is likely to face at least some minor emissions equipment needs as you clock up the miles. On the top end of the budget there's the SQ5, but I'll lean towards the diesel variant. This could be the last time you see a performance variant of any car with a diesel, and nearly 350 brake horsepower and high MPG on a cruise is hard to argue with. If the Q5 isn't for you though, what about the Porsche Macan or Volvo X60 next? And as ever, all the best with your car search.